Do you guys know what these things are for?
Brake calipers.
Brake duct. So it is ducting work for the brakes. These little ducts down here channel air to the front brakes to keep them cool. The shape of the front bumper as well, this lower area, the reason it protrudes so much further out, acts like a front splitter, which allows the vehicle to be more aerodynamic, forcing air around and over the vehicle instead of underneath. Big openings in the center, including this little V, which is a design element, but also allows it air to straighten out when going through the front grille to feed that radiator. As far as all the vertical surfaces on the vehicle, the hood, the roof, and the deck lid, what material is that made out of? Carbon fiber. And what's so special about carbon fiber?
Lighter.
It's lighter. And what else besides being lighter? Stronger. Pound for pound, carbon fiber is lighter and stronger than steel. Also twists less, so it makes it for a stiffer vehicle. This hood here, one-piece carbon fiber. The roof and the deck lid, all one-piece carbon fiber. So very lightweight parts. As far as the hood goes, we have two different styles of hoods available. We have the GTS hood, which is the one on this vehicle right here, with the two vents, the two heat extractors. How many vents does the regular SRT hood have?
7. 6.
6 extractor vents and then 1 scoop. So technically 7 holes, but 6 vents, heat extractors, and these heat extractors are fully functional as well. As air passes through the radiator, passes through the engine, it gets pulled out the front, keeping the engine bay cooler. This little duct right here, that feeds air directly to the air box, so that the air going into the engine is only about 10 degrees warmer than ambient temperature, which means that it's pretty much getting the coolest air that it can get to feed that monster of an engine. Okay, come on over to the side now. So how do we open the hood? Okay, if you guys do not know, the release for the hood is in the driver's side vent. These vents are functional. They do allow heat to escape out from underneath the engine bay. The release is right here. So that air box, the little vent up there in the front feeds the front air box, which feeds this composite intake manifold, which feeds that 8.4 liter V10. And how much power does that V10 make?
640.
640 horsepower at 6,200 RPMs, and how much torque?
600.
And 600 pound-feet of torque at 5,000 RPMs. It is the most amount of torque that any naturally aspirated engine makes, period. This thing makes so much torque that at 2,000 RPMs, this thing makes more torque than our old 6.1 liter Hemis. This thing makes 425 pound-feet of torque at 1950 RPMs. So pretty much right off idle, you get as much torque as you did in our old Hemis, old SRT Hemis. So this engine, all aluminum construction, aluminum heads, aluminum block. Why do you want aluminum instead of cast iron? It's lighter. What else does aluminum do better? Dissipates heat, so allows the engine to stay cooler. So the head and the block are all made of aluminum, but just to make sure that the engine could take the kind of abuse that people might put it through, it has steel liners inside each of the cylinders. So it's not aluminum rubbing against steel, it's steel rubbing against steel. Liners are pressed into the block, pistons move up and down inside those liners, so it still adds a level of durability to it. In terms of the pistons, the rods, and the crank, all those 3 pieces are forged, either out of aluminum or out of powdered metal, or steel. They're all forged though. So why do you want something that's forged instead of cast in certain cases?
Stronger.
It's stronger? Okay.
Denser.
It's denser also. So as far as casting's kind of like making jello. You got your liquid jello, you pour it into a mold, and that's kind of how casting is. You got your liquid metal, your molten metal, pour it into a mold, it sets, and that's that. With forging, you're essentially taking a chunk of metal, you're forcing it into the shape of something else, which allows the metal itself to be denser, all the metal grains to be lined up, which means that it's stronger. Because it's stronger and denser, you can make it thinner than conventional cast pieces, but it's still stronger, so that makes it lighter and stronger. So all the reciprocating mass in there is all forged. Essentially all the major pieces are all forged, so that makes it stronger and it's lighter. Attached to that engine, as far as the oiling system, cast aluminum oil pan, as well as a racing style swing arm oil pickup. So instead of having to resort to a dry sump system, we have a race proven oil pickup system on this that can handle the kind of G's that this car can throw at it. Because one thing you don't want is for this car to be going around the corner, for all the oil sloshing up against one side of the pan, and for the engine to go dry. So this thing takes care of that without the need of really expensive dry sump systems. Makes it easier to handle, makes it easier to work on as well. Who knows how much oil this thing takes?
15 quarters.
Not that much, 11 quarts. Takes a lot of oil. So bolted to that engine in the back of that is going to be a Tremec TR6060 6-speed manual transmission. It is a heavy-duty transmission with aluminum flywheel, steel friction surface, and heavy-duty clutch. It is the only transmission available for this engine. No automatics, no dual clutches, because when it comes to a Viper, this is a driver's car. We want the driver to be connected to it. We want the driver to be able to control every aspect of it. That transmission is designed for this engine, can handle tremendous amounts of power. It has also been redesigned for this engine with different gear ratios, 3, 4, and 5. As far as the rear end on this vehicle, this uses a mechanical limited slip differential. It's a GKN Visco lock unit. So why do we want a limited slip differential on any vehicle, period? What's the purpose of a limited slip?
Transferring torque to both wheels.
Transferring torque to both wheels. So in most passenger vehicles, you have what's called an open differential. The problem with those is that it sends power to the wheel with least traction. So you end up sitting there doing a one-wheel burnout. It's no fun when you want to do a two-wheel burnout. So with a limited slip differential, it will force power to go to both wheels almost equally, so that when you're on a track coming around a corner, that you get traction off both wheels, you're able to get better acceleration out of corners, off a stoplight, and also more predictable handling in the car. Any questions on the drivetrain components of the vehicle?
Why does the GTS only have the 2 heat extractors where the GT has 6?
Styling.
Just styling.
Just styling.
I've had numerous customers that have talked to me and said that they wish that the GTS, being more performance oriented, had the 6.
Actually,